Good morning and welcome back to another video of mine. I'm in the region of Vienna today because I live here for studying and basically only for studying, and I'm gonna shoot some silhouettes against the morning sky, against the dawny sky today, and I'm also probably gonna shoot some orchids. Initially, just the winter leaves of the orchids. Initially I was planning on shooting the orchids with some rime, but as you can see it's not really rhymy today, so it's just gonna be top-down photos of the winter leaves of orchids. And I think I'm also gonna try something new for my videos today, and I'm not gonna show myself as much as I did in the past videos, and I'm just gonna talk to you through the camera, so I'm just gonna try to find out how that works out, and yeah, well, have fun watching the video.
Hello again, it's me. I'm sure you expected some video of me shooting orchids now, but I'm sorry, I didn't really take any. And because I don't know, I just have one camera and it's just kind of difficult for me to concentrate on shooting photos and with the same camera taking video at the same time. So what I decided for my next video is that I'm gonna use my old D800 and use that for like B-roll and behind the scenes material, so you actually can see what I'm doing and how I'm shooting. And I think I will still show you photos like this in the after shooting, because I don't know, I think it's kind of exciting to see, like in the image editing software, what I actually shot. So yeah, as I said in the video, I got there early to photograph some orchid rosettes with some rime on them. Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot, but I got a few nice photos, and I especially like those photos of the silhouetted trees in the morning light with this nice gradient in the sky that you get before sunrise. So yeah, um, these are just some coniferous trees that grow in the forest near the little meadow where the orchids grow, and I I like shooting those silhouettes. So I set up my tripod, which is kind of new for me because in the past I often just did run and gunning kind of with my camera, so I would just handhold most of the stuff. But I've been doing some architecture photography in school in the past few weeks, and I kind of discovered my love to tripods. So yeah, yeah. So let's continue going through the photos. So on the first photos, I was still at f1.8, but I wanted to get some more sharpness and more depth of field, so I stopped down the aperture a bit. And yeah, I adjusted my composition a bit, and that was the photo that I ended up with. And I kind of like it. I think it's a very calm composition, and it has kind of like a triangle, and yeah, I quite like that photo. I mean, you see, you can even see my ratings of my photos here. So yeah. Then I tried this shot, which didn't really work out. I wanted to do a pure silhouette at first, but it was kind of too dark, and like the lower parts of the tree were way too dark, so you couldn't really see it anymore. So I boosted the shadows a bit and the black a bit, and yeah, as you can see, it's not really a great photo. So That's you kind of know that photo. It's from the scene where I was filming the beginning, and there comes our first orchid. So what's kind of difficult with orchid species is you can tell the genus of the orchid pretty well, but to nail down the exact species is pretty difficult. So this is some Ophrys species. So Ophrys are kind of a type of orchid that is imitating some kind of insect and is giving out pheromones. So the males of that insect come to the orchid and then they try mating with the blossom of the orchid, and that's how they get pollinated. So this is probably Ophrys apifera, but yeah, I will put a photo of how that looks here. So yeah, now you saw how that orchid will hopefully look in about June is when they blossom. I went a bit closer. As you can see on the bottom, I still was using my 50 and just a tiny bit stopped down, but I quickly switched to the 100 millimeter Laowa macro because I wanted to get even closer to those plants, and to I wanted to show the rime better, because as you can see here, without cropping in or anything, you can't really see the rime, but I mean, when you zoom into 300%, you can see that they are all a bit icy. So yeah, this is when I switched to the 100 millimeters, and this is Ophrys again probably Apifera. So here I quite like the composition of this photo on one hand, and I also like that you can also already start seeing some ice crystals here, and I like them so much that I did a second photo where I went a bit closer, and then I ran into a little problem with my tripod because it can't really go down far, so I just had to deal with what I had. I had to do this, so yeah, just I just went this close. So I'm just gonna keep jumping through the photos, and when something comes up that I want to talk about, which is exactly right now, then I will talk about. So this is another species. This is I can't really nail down the exact species, so it's probably Neotinea ustulata, which you can see here. It's it's quite a lovely orchid, and it has like this beautiful, very dark top at the inflorescence, and then when the flowers open up, it has those nice white flowers that you can see in the photos. And actually, I'm not sure if this is ustulata or if this is another species that apparently wasn't seen in that region or in Vienna since 2018, and the sighting in 2018 was kind of a rediscovery. It was thought to be extinct in Vienna, so I will monitor this orchid, and I will see if I will find out what it is. But it probably is ustulata, so it's quite common in that region of Vienna, but in general, as sadly all orchids in Austria, it's kind of endangered. Mm. This is another nice orchid. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have a photo of this yet, so with me it's kind of interesting. Lots of the orchids I shoot now, I have actually never seen blossoming. I just know how their leaves look in winter. So this spring will be really exciting for me because I will see this orchid, for example, is like a tiny little orchid. I took a photo of it in 2012, but I took it like with this little digicam, and I was pretty young. And yeah, I don't think you want to see that. So you will just have to wait for some video in the future. So they are supposed to blossom in May. Now it's the beginning of March. When I took that was the middle of February, as you can see. So it took me quite some time. It took me about a month to get to shoot this video, but usually I like to like go away from my photos for a while so I can just get a bit of distance from them, and so I can assess them with a from a different point of view, and not being all the way hyped up about the photos and being like, oh, they're so cool and I had such a nice experience taking them. But I want to kind of lay that off and just let the photo sink in a bit and kind of forget about the experience a bit, so I can look at them with a clearer view. This is probably Ustulata again, but when they're just this freshly out of the ground, you can't really tell. So they're about on this photo is about this big, the leaves of the orchid, so it's just too fresh. Yeah, I don't really like that because I think this has too little depth of field. But you can see pretty well. There was some rime, but I was hoping for a really thick rime, but that just didn't happen because there wasn't enough humidity in the air in the night. So yeah, this is some Ophrys species again, probably Epifera again. Then my feet got kind of cold because it was -8 degrees that morning, and I was just wearing my city shoes, as I call them, and they have quite a thin sole. So I had to walk around a bit, and I had to walk through the sun. So I decided to take some photos of the trees in the nice yellowish orange light of the sunrise. And yeah, I actually um, I don't mind that photo. I'm not a big fan of it because it's kind of overwhelming. There is too much going on, but I like that there is this pretty dominant line of that tree that is giving the image at least something. Yeah, took another one. This is also kind of boring. This is the scene that you saw in the in the beginning of the video, and I think that's about. Oh no, I took more photos. Okay, so this is probably Sphegodes, Ophrys sphegodes, which is another orchid species, which looks like this. And when it's blossoming, and yeah, it's actually one of my favorite orchid species, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this blossom this year because I actually only saw it blossoming once, and it was like next to the road, and it was only a few blossoms, as you can see on the photo. And at that place in Vienna, there are actually quite a few of them, and you can also see those leaves are surprisingly resistant to the coldness and to freezing. Like this is a piece of ice that you can see on the screen there, and it's just, or yeah, it's basically ice that is laying on the orchid, and it's basically not harming it. So they are pretty hardy. Then there was quite a lot of rime on those orchids, but that photo is just not clean enough with all those grass, with all that grass going through the frame. So I don't really like it. That's Mario again, so the tiny one that I don't have a photo yet, and the only photo that I have is from 2011. But you can see again that there is this little frozen piece on it. So yeah, and this is actually the last orchid that I saw on that trip. So the lower one, the light green leaf is from Orchis Mario again, and the darker green is from Spiranthes spiralis, which looks like this. And in German, it's called something like autumn screwing orchid, kind of. And I mean, you saw why it's called screwing orchid because the blossom is like the single blossoms are kind of in a corkscrew pattern up on the on the on the perks of being a non-native speaker, on the yeah, on the inflorescence. And the autumn comes because it's blossoming in September to October actually. So that's really late for an orchid. In Austria, usually orchid blossom at max in, like, if you're in the mountains, maybe in in early August, but they're also already getting like to the end of their blossoming there, and then like down in the plains they blossom much earlier. So it's really special for that orchid to blossom that late, and the biology is actually of it is actually quite interesting. So with all those orchids you saw before, um, the leaf, this rosette, forms in the autumn after the inflorescence is already gone, and then from the bulb of the orchid, those leaves come out, and they're basically just there for making photosynthesis in winter and in autumn, because all those orchid species are kind of Mediterranean, so there is not really um, snow on the ground when they blossom. Not when they blossom, when the leaves come out, so they can make photosynthesis and put all that sugar they produce down into the rhizome of the plant, so into the bulb of the plant, and that way they can um, the flower can come out in spring with all that energy that it stored during winter and autumn. So that's what the others do. And with the spiralis, Spiranthe spiralis, what happens is that right at the time when it blossoms, the bulb already makes another rosette right next to the blossom, and that rosette already starts making photosynthesis all the way through the winter and up till summer. Then it starts to die off, and from the dying rosette, there actually comes the inflorescence, which looks like what you saw on the photo that I showed you earlier on the screen. And when it finishes blossoming, so you just have the seeds left, it looks like this. So yeah, so it's pretty special because it's blossoming that late in the year. Then I did some variations of that because yeah, variations are never bad. I opened the aperture up all the way, and yeah, I just liked seeing the 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 died off part of the flower, having it in the frame with the new leaves coming out from the flower of the next year, so of 2021. So the died off part you see is from 2020, from September. That's also when that photo is from, and the dark green leaves also came in 2020, and they're gonna make the plant that is gonna blossom in 2021, so this year. And yeah, so that's just another photo. I'm not a big fan of it. Here you can see that those orchids, they're actually growing quite some abundance, so they grow in quite tight spaces, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that in spring, to see how it's gonna look. So this is Morio again, and those are some of his species probably be found. And yeah, that's about it. I was getting on my way home. It was 9 in the morning, I think. Time passed pretty fast. Yeah, 8:51, and I got there at 7 in the morning, so I stayed there for about 2 hours. And yeah, I had a nice time. My feet were getting really cold by then because I didn't really put on proper socks either, because they're all in my home region, because there it's proper cold usually, and I didn't really expect it to be that cold in Vienna. So yeah, um, yeah, I just took a few more photos of those flowers, which I'm not really happy about. I like the contrast of the blue of the snow in the background, and the yellow of the dyed off flowers, but I wasn't really able to convey that feeling that they they gave me during that time of taking the photo. So I'm not a big fan of that photo, and that's just too tight, too not clear enough. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video of me just rambling a bit and going through the photos that I took on that video that I shot a month ago. And yeah, um, I will try posting new videos soon. It's a bit difficult because I can't really. I, I'm having problems cutting the videos because my laptop is kind of slow and choking pretty much um, with the 4K videos. But I'm giving my best, and yeah. So the next video is hopefully gonna be with two videos. So yeah, stay safe and have a nice evening or morning or whenever you're watching that. Goodbye.